PFF position rankings rolling along. It's now time for our top 15 offensive tackles. Of course, you can see breakdowns on all of these players in the PFF Draft Guide, all part of your PFF Edge and Elite package. Mike, it's a pretty good offensive tackle class. We've been putting the cutoffs by round, and we're going to start it right here. We've got 5 offensive tackles, maybe one that converts to guard, but 5 guys with a potential first-round grade. Let's break it down, starting with Jonah Williams, the #1 tackle on our board.
Yeah, it's the PFF record here in the 5 years we've been doing this. Never had 5 offensive tackles with first-round grades, but we love this class. Jonah Williams, been starting at Alabama since he was a true freshman. Switched from right tackle to left tackle back in 2017. Left tackle this past season, one of the highest grades in the country. We feel really good about his projection to the NFL. In fact, he's only 21 years old, dominating SEC competition the way he did, and the fact that, you know, you go back to, even if he is a guard, you go back to Quentin Nelson from a season ago. When he was the same age as Jonah Williams, no one even heard about his name. No one's even talking about him as a first rounder. Jonah Williams, think about giving him another couple of years, he would have been as dominant, in my opinion, as Quentin Nelson was. I feel good about him translating to the NFL.
Just a very smooth tackle. Forget about his arm length. He is a potential tackle. He could be a very good guard, but man, so smooth in pass protection, great eyes against stunts, does a lot of things extremely well. So that's why Jonah Williams is #1. This next group, this trio here, though, you know, there's a lot of debate here, even internally, as to where they are. They all have their strengths and their weaknesses, starting with Andre Dillard. You know, we always give the nod to pass protection over run blocking, so he's not going to crush anybody in the run game. But as far as smooth pass protectors go, Dillard's the guy here.
Yeah, Dillard, incredible athletically, tested out as the best athlete among this bunch at the Combine. He has the experience, too, at Washington State. Took more pass blocking sets this past season than any tackle in the NFL did, all regular season, including the preseason and the postseason. So he is battle-tested, 3 years of starting, played a little bit as a freshman as well there at Washington State. I mean, the highest graded pass blocking grade in the country at tackle this past season. A lot of reasons to like him translating to the NFL.
So he's more pass block first. JaJuan Taylor is more run block first. He mauls people in the run game. Maybe the best run blocker out of all these guys, especially his high-end blocks. But I think there is some question marks in pass protection, though. When we talk about the guys that Andre Dillard faced in the Pac-12 or Dalton Reisner faced in the Big 12, nothing compared to what JaJuan Taylor faced in the SEC.
I was going to say, these guys didn't face Brian Burns. They didn't face Josh Allen this past year. JaJuan Taylor did. So when you lose against those guys, it's a little less of a knock on you than when you're losing against what you're facing at maybe Washington or maybe Oregon there in the Pac-12, in the Big 12 there as well. So he faced a little stiffer competition. There are concerns about his athleticism. I don't think he's as athletic as the other two guys. Didn't even do any pre-draft tests in terms of 40, anything. He just did the bench, got out of there. But you see it show up in the run game. I think that's going to be an easy transition. Another guy who's young as well. So for him to be doing it at that age, you think the arrow's pointing upwards.
And then with Dalton Reisner, we've got 4 years of excellent grading in the PFF system. 1 year at center, the last 3 years at right tackle, less than 30 pressures over a 4-year period is spectacular. Again, maybe not facing all the best edge defenders in the Big 12, but he went up against Montez Sweat from Mississippi State last year, held his own, and just crushes people in the run. I just love his strength.
Yeah, as you say, he'll hold up against power well in the NFL. That's why a lot of people want to kick him inside right away, but he has the arm length and athleticism to do it on the edge. Keep him at tackle if you need a tackle. The only issue there is adjusting to inside moves. He's a little bit of a slide out there. His pass pro needs a little work in terms of adjusting to speed rusher. So might be a little rocky at the start, but in terms of the analytics say he is the safest bet to succeed in pass protection at the next level from an analytics perspective.
One of the other interesting things to note, we've got Jonah Williams, who's been a left tackle and a right tackle. We have Dillard, left tackle. JaJuan Taylor has been a right tackle, and Dalton Reisner, a right tackle. We keep saying, look, there's no difference between left and right tackles as far as value goes in the NFL, but if you need a right tackle, there is a little bit of a transition time if you have to flip sides. So if you need a right tackle, maybe you look at these two guys and say, okay, they are just more familiar with it rather than, say, flipping an Andre Dillard and vice versa. If you need a left tackle, maybe you lean towards Andre Dillard. Of course, Jonah Williams, experience doing both at a successful high rate.
And then Cody Ford, we probably see him as a little bit of a step behind this group of offensive linemen, but he was right tackle and left guard as well there for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and he might project at guard at the next level. And I think he's kind of similar to JaJuan Taylor to me, where you trust him in the run game. He's going to crush some people. It's just about how's he going to handle speed consistently, but we still have him in that first-round mix. The second round's an interesting group, too, because we have the cutoff here.
Yeah.
So that means 10 offensive tackles have made round 1 or round 2 grades for us. all of these guys obviously have their warts, but they either have some level of good grading, some level of traits, or they're just really good in pass protection. I got like Chuma Edoga here at 9.
Yeah, I was going to say, we go to the Senior Bowl. Titus Howard, Alabama State, coming from a small school, had the highest win rate in the one-on-ones of any tackle there. Also, we went up against Auburn this past season, didn't allow a single pressure, so you love to see that for him showing up against the biggest competition. Chuma Edoga had the second highest win rate in pass blocking in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. Max Sharping, third at that Senior Bowl. So all showed themselves very well there down in Mobile. Edoga, very athletic, still slight on the undersized side of the offensive tackle position, needs to add a little more muscle to his frame. Sharping, we've seen him, he's almost like a poor man's Dalton Reisner in terms of 4 years of production at NIU. Maybe it doesn't always look pretty. Maybe you're saying, oh, this trait and that trait doesn't match up with the NFL level, but he got the job done at a high level, which to us is what matters most.
Only 33 total pressures in Sharping's career in those 4 years. Greg Little, the other interesting name. Pretty good pass blocking grade, but just not a ton of true pass blocking sets.
Yes.
But he's in the SEC. He's another guy like Jonah Williams, 3-year starter, true junior coming out, slips off a few too many run blocks. You know, we got run blocking concerns here and here, but if you focus on the pass blocking, you could get a nice pass blocking tackle in this group.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. Is they're not. These guys aren't going to wow you. Greg Little's not going to wow you with his block. Same with Chuma Edoga. They're not going to have these pancakes on tape that'll say, oh, wow, that's going to translate to the next level. But consistently in the pass game, blocks the guy in front of him, has the length, has plus athleticism, might not always look pretty, might not be overpowering guys, but he gets the job done.
That's why they're in that more day 2 range. McGarry's a little bit different. He has some of those explosive blocks. He fires out of his stance, but he's 6'8". He's a bit of a projection in pass pro, but an interesting second day type of prospect.
Yeah, his flexibility is a bit of an issue there in terms of pass protection. He's got small arms for a 6'8" guy, sub 33-inch arms, so he legitimately might not have necessarily the length to hold up on the edge. So he might be a guy who kicks in the guard at the next level, but we still like his athleticism at the position.
And then we get into more of the round 3 types of guys. Yodny Kajus was a guy that was a fringe second rounder for us. He got injured, torn quad this offseason, so he would probably be more in that second round range. Bobby Evans came into the season a little bit more highly touted than Cody Ford. He might be an under the radar tackle that can come in and play as well.
Yeah, I still believe in Bobby Evans to be a starting NFL lineman someday. He's flipped. He had the unlucky. He drew the short straw there at Oklahoma and started at right tackle back in 2017 and had to flip to left tackle this past season. You saw some obvious issues there with his hands in pass pro, switching sides. It did not come naturally to him. Graded out much better back in 2017, but from that perspective, we've seen even Jonah Williams didn't take a great step forward when he switched from freshman year at right tackle to sophomore year at left tackle. It is a tough transition, so I'm going to forgive him a little bit for that. I think there's still something there to work with in Evans.
So keep an eye on Bobby Evans, day 3 or round 3 type of prospects. So there you have it. It's a pretty good offensive tackle class. Of course, we have full breakdowns on all 15 of these guys in the PFF Draft Guide, all part of PFF Edge and Elite.